Hello, my name is Duncan and welcome to Bath Books, and today I'm doing a tag. Not sure if this is going out on Tag Tuesday or some other day. And it's something I'm being licked at by a Labrador at the moment. And this is the Extraordinary Average tag. It was originally created by David Wiley, who I've got a link to his channel below. I think I saw it on Book Songs and Other Magic. And I've seen a few other people do it. Nobody tagged me because people don't, but that's fine. I don't expect to. But I just thought it was quite an interesting tag to do. So I will begin now, and I've sort of got a list of them here. There's 8 points here, and it's all about things that people consider as average. So, what book is viewed as average but you felt was extraordinary? It's quite a difficult one to see what people view as average, but I picked from, so I've got a pile of stuff in front of me, 1980s, by Peter Beer, Urban Prey, part of his Trauma 2020 books. The second one there is the Crucifixion Squad. They're out of print. They're very difficult to get hold of. I originally brought Urban Prey when it came out, which was, as I said, actually, so you can see me look at this again. 1984, and I liked it. It's a dystopian, about this guy who basically is just trying to survive, an average guy. I'll read the back of the book for you. It says, BK isn't exactly a hero, but it's year 2020, and like 50 million others, he's short of cash. So BK sets out to do a bit of smuggling with his uncle Franklin. Nothing goes right for BK. First the pox dogs chew him up, and then the army calls him up. He doesn't fancy getting gassed as one of Europe's endless wars, but that means evading Homer, a 7-foot albino psychopath sent after him by the military. Enter Tommy a Moose, who can offer BK a safe passage to America, provided that he kills a very important policeman first. The reason I really like this, I've mentioned before my great book purchase in the 1990s, which was sad, and I got rid of this book, and I went to try and find another version of it, and it's very difficult to find hold of them. There's 3 books in them. There's Urban Prey, Crucifixion Squad, great artwork by Peter Elson on there, and Silent Slaughter. Silent Slaughter's actually got a different cover on it, which is back there somewhere. But I managed to find them, but they do seem to go for quite a weird amount of money, and they're quite difficult to get hold of. But I really like them because, for starters, they were dystopian. They were set in England, which is great because a lot of stuff gets American set, and they were just really fun, and I think it's quite extraordinary. Yeah, rereading them now, there's a few stereotypes. There's a slight bit of homophobia in them, I'm afraid, but they're still very good books and a really good read, and I really enjoyed them. So if you ever come across these, they're worth picking up. And they're extraordinary, yes, probably are, because there's some really good ideas and thoughts in them. I said there's some stereotypes from the time in there, but just go with those. So if you do get a chance to read them, read them. Peter Beer, if you're interested, wrote a lot of children's fiction as well, and this is probably one of his few adult science fiction ones. I tried to do some research on some of his other books, and there's not much. He's got a fantasy series which is for children. Well, I think it would probably count as a YA book now, and if I see it around, I might actually do it because I quite like his writing. So yeah, that's those books. So question 2. Who is an author who is viewed as average but you felt was extraordinary? This one I found quite difficult, because I think anybody who writes and gets published has got to be extraordinary. You know, just to get picked up, it's just such a hard market to get into. Even if you know, there's some great self-published books out there, but if you think of mainstream books getting picked up, it can be quite difficult. So I found it quite difficult, but I would put somebody, I said I'd never put anything down specifically for this, just because I said I think it's quite difficult to find somebody who you consider pretty average, because most of the stuff I read, so I'm actually going to be naughty and just say any author's extraordinary. Anybody who writes, they're extraordinary. And that's me being a bit of a cop-out, because I can't really think of one. So the third question is, who is the missing a band whose music is considered average but you felt was extraordinary? There's a couple of possibilities here, but I picked a band from the early 90s. Soul Asylum, the first album, Grave Dancers Union, and the second album, Let the Dim Light Shine. And if you were a viewer of MTV in the early 90s, you may have seen their single Black Gold. I think people see them as like a sort of average rock band, but I really, really like them. I think I saw them live at some festival somewhere, but I can't remember because my brain's a bit addled. But yeah, Soul Asylum, Grave Dancers Union, their first album is excellent, and I think it's an extraordinary album. And their second album, I said Let the Dim Light Shine, worth having as well. So the next one is, what TV show or movie is considered average but you felt was extraordinary? Okay, I am going to pick, I had quite a few of these to go through. Runaway. Directed by Michael Crichton, written by Michael Crichton, starring Tom Selleck, who was trying to be an action hero at the time and could have quite easily, but a lot of his TV stuff held him back, I think, because I think he was originally up for the part of Indiana Jones at one point. But I said this is written and directed by Michael Crichton. It's got a really interesting score by Jerry Goldsmith, his only electronic score. And it's about a department of the police who basically chase after and sort out robots that malfunction. I find it weird that it's a police department. But then you get a psychopath killer who's played by the wonderful, wonderful Gene Simmons, who looks like an absolute psychopath in there. But there's some really, really interesting ideas on there. You get drones before drones were even a thing. And I said it's just a really, really fun film. Yes, it's a bit cliched at point, but it's a film I go back to and watch, and it makes me happy. And I think it's an extraordinary film, and I think it's incredibly overlooked. So yeah, Runaway. So on to the next question. What booktube channel subscriber count is average but you feel is extraordinary? Okay, it's actually quite an easy one. Michael Romeo talks books. If you've not seen his channel, pop across. There's going to be a link down below to him. And he sits there, talks books. He's got lots of Yorkies. We love Yorkies here, don't we? Because I have my little Yorkie gizmo. But no, he talks about books he loves. One, I think he just adores books. And at the moment, he's doing a project trying to recreate the shelf his mother had when he was a child. So he wants to get all the books. You know, I think they're a mixture of ebooks and normal books, but he just wants to read them all and just wants to have them and see them all. And it's a really, really interesting project. So Michael Romeo talks books. Everybody go across, give him some more subscribers because he's a great booktuber to watch. And my next question is, you find a time machine that will take you back in time for a day, but the day you select must be an average day. Where would you go and what would you do to make the trip extraordinary? I was going to pick a time, for one thing, involving my gold retriever who we lost last year, but I'm not going to do that one because I will blub on camera otherwise. But I'm thinking a time probably about 86, 87, I would go back, and at the time, before I was employed doing medical stuff in hospitals, I was a printer. I ended up in the print industry because I wanted to be an illustrator and stuff happened, and I ended up being a printer. And looking back on it, I loved the job. My friend still actually owns a company that I used to work on. And at the time, 86, 87, I was living about 15 miles away, and I was a big, big cyclist. And I used to cycle from my home to work every day. And that was about 15 miles, about 30 miles a day. I used to ride up all through the Mendip Hills. And so I'd go back to that average day because he would just have me getting up as normal, cycling to work, cooling down, and then just doing my job, which was printing. And I used to really, really enjoy that. And then if I picked a Tuesday to go back on, what I would then do is at the end of the day, after a day printing things, as you do, I would cycle all the way home, another 15 miles, and then I would ride out to a local place and part of the cycle club I was part of and do a 10-mile time trial. And afterwards, we would just pop to a local cafe and have something to eat, and we'd go on home. And that would be an average day. And I used to really love that. And looking back on it, it was a great time. And what would I do to make that extraordinary? I wouldn't have to do anything. Just the average thing would be extraordinary for me. Just being fit enough to be able to cycle again and healthy enough, which I said I'll hopefully plan to one day, because I'm working on that. And just, you know, the printing job that I used to love. Sadly, a lot of the stuff has gone digital now, so the stuff I used to do doesn't really exist anymore. But for me, that would all be extraordinary. Okay, and so the final question. You were in a week vacation, but all the popular travel spots are all booked out. Where would you go, and what would you do to make that trip extraordinary? Well, this is a difficult one because sorry about that noise, it was my email client. I didn't turn the computer off. It's a difficult one for us because we don't go on holiday. My wife has a disability, and we've not been on holiday for 15 years or so because she's not been up to it. I live on an island in the north of Scotland, so we live somewhere quite beautiful anyway. So for me, going somewhere what people call average would be just going to somewhere like a city, a place with lots of shops and bookshops, and being able to walk into a big second-hand bookshops down in Perth. On the mainland, there is a fantastically huge bookshop. So I would go to the city of Perth, which is quite an average sort of nice little city. And I would probably, what would make it extraordinary for me would be able to go out for lunch with my wife and have a nice time there, and just go to a beautiful big second-hand bookshop. And for me, that would be extraordinary. So I'd like to thank David for creating this tag, because I've really quite enjoyed this one actually. And I'm not going to tag anybody specifically, but I recommend everybody have a look at it because it does make you think about a few things. And I will speak to you all very soon.